All right. And then Ignite Hope coming up as well. So if you've not already signed up for this, please do so. Again, additional information in those emails. QR code is here. If you're not able to join us for the actual walk itself, please feel free to make a donation. Again, that all benefits CMN and up here in particular, Phoenix Children's. Who's been on the Ignite Hope walk with us before? All right, yeah. So a few people in this room, not all that many, but I mean, it's a great experience, and it's just another way to bring a little additional cheer to the kids that are actually in the hospital there. So again, fundraiser and all that, but then actually being there at the hospital, the folks that aren't able to come out and be in the world for various reasons, but seeing all that going on, the music, etc., like it really lifts their spirits. And tell you what, feels pretty good being on the other side of that as well. So a great thing to join us with if you can. All right. Also, toy drive. Again, I don't think I need to say too much about this, but through CMN, unwrapped toys and gifts. They'll also do gift cards, donations, things like that. So if you want to provide something and then let the hospital kind of decide what's needed to wear, that's another great way to go, and also very much appreciated. And with that, we're going to get right to it. Nate has known Cleve a lot longer than I have. I'm going to let him say some good things about him.
All right, before we get started, Cleve, you want to come up here real quick and yeah, let's see who wins the 5,000. Oh,
Hey, it's a Remax ooh, wow, that's very loud. Where'd he go? Maybe.
okay, I'll turn this thing back on. I've known Cleve, I don't know how long it's been, but well over 10, 15 years. Um, Cleve's just, you're going to enjoy him, first of all. He has one of the softest, kindest, he's a Southern gentleman, and he's helped me in my life. He's my business coach, right? So Cleve's coached me for what, 3, 4 years? 5, 6? Yeah, I don't even know. But it's an investment that I like to do. Cleve's a master coach with Workman Success Systems. He's not here from Workman Success Systems. He's here as a favor to me. So I'm going to let you just get going. We're probably going to go about an hour from this point. He's got an hour presentation. Then we could stay if you want for any masterminding after that. That being said, Cleve, it's all yours, brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So if you are really interactive and you kind of clap and have some fun, it'll be an hour. But I do have a 3-hour version of the same presentation. And so I'll let you know if I switch gears to the 3 hours, and that'll be based on how you react. Is that fair enough? Okay. So, oh, let's try that again. It'll be based on how you react. Is that fair enough? Oh, man, we're talking. I love it. I love it. So a couple of things real quickly I want you to know about me. In March of 2025, I will have been with Remax for 25 years. Never been with another brokerage, never felt the need to be with another brokerage. I still run a team in Metro Atlanta. I'm in the process of selling my team to another team leader in the office, and we're 2 years into a 5-year plan to do that. But this year, my team, I will sell 5 or 6 or 8 houses this year myself. I used to sell 60 or 70 or 80 houses a year, but my team will close about 220 or 230 deals this year. I'm not saying I've got it all worked out, meaning I know everything you need to know. What I am saying is that I understand basic principles that when get applied in business, when get applied in a sales situation, they result in success. Now, before we get started, I want all of you to think about one word, and the word is word. Because the words we use determine how successful we are from a sales standpoint. And Steve, you could go on a listing presentation and I could go on the same listing presentation and you could use better words than I use, talking about the same exact thing, and you would get the business and I would not. So people think all the time, there's nothing I can do to control my results. There's nothing I can do. I'm kind of subject to the whims of the market. Whatever's happening is happening. And that is not the case. It is simply not the case. How did I learn this? 1987, I was selling Christmas trees in Atlanta door to door, as everybody does in the late 80s. I actually started in the landscaping business in November of that year, and about 2 weeks into it, I thought, I don't think November was the best time to start in the landscaping business in Atlanta. So I decided to sell Christmas trees. I sold 2 Christmas wreaths to the chairman of the board of Electrolux, the vacuum cleaner company. They had just moved their headquarters to Atlanta. This was a $2 million estate in the late 80s. Now, this was something spectacular. Long story short, 4 or 5 years later, I went to work for Electrolux. So all I did for 11 solid years was teach people how to knock on doors, get into homes, demonstrate a vacuum cleaner, get into homes, demonstrate a shampooer, and sell them. And the last year that I worked for Electrolux was 1999 in my area, which was the Midwest U.S. We sold about $50 million worth of cleaners.
Hey, I'm just this is our monthly business meeting, but
Woohoo! My voice has changed.
okay, well,
I'm sounding strange. That was not what, those were not the words that came out of my mouth. So I want you to know there's a lot of things about life that I do not understand. Using the right words in your interaction with a client to make them want to use you and only you, I get that. And I get it very, very well. My ex, which means we're not together anymore, did not like the fact that I was very manipulative from a sales standpoint. And so she'd say something and I'd say, well, let me ask you a question. And she'd look at me and say, you're not asking me another damn question, period. You're not asking any questions. When you ask questions and I answer them, I get trapped. And that's why I always won. And that's, I guess, why maybe she didn't want to stay married after a while. I'm not sure. How many of you love speaking in front of a crowd? Oh, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's good. Well, I had a friend, Gary, many, many years ago, who was scared to death to speak in front of a crowd. So I suggested, hey, why don't you join Toastmasters? He joined Toastmasters. He seemed to like it, but they were having this one meeting where everybody had to give an impromptu speech, meaning you literally had to pick up a card from the table, turn it over, see what the subject was, and give a 7-minute presentation. Have you ever done that? He was so nervous. He was so nervous. And so, again, his name's Greg. He picks up the card, flips it over. He's in front of the group. His topic, sex. So I was not there and I did not hear him, but I talked to people who were there and they said, oh my gosh, like I learned stuff from Greg that I needed to know my whole life. It was spectacular. It was spectacular. So Greg went home. His wife's name is Angela, and she said, hey, what was your topic on? And he said, sailing. And she said, how was it? It was really good. They were really into it. It was really, really, really great. Well, anyway, Angela, a couple days later, she's at the local Kroger grocery store, as you do in Atlanta. You go to Kroger. And she runs into somebody who's in the Toastmasters group. And what's that? And so at the very end of the aisle, the husband who's in the Toastmasters group and Angela, and he's waving. He's like, hey, how you doing? He's looking at her. He's so excited to see her. Maybe she was included in some of the stories. I'm not sure. I wasn't there. But he marched down the aisle and he said, oh my gosh, Greg's presentation was outstanding. He seems to really know what he's doing. And she said, you know, that's the funniest damn thing. We've only done it twice. The first time he threw up and the second time his hat blew off. All right. Oh, wait a minute. I got to get my presentation up here. Speaking in front of a group. By the way, when you speak in front of a group, it's easy because everybody in the group is just like you. Everybody in the group has the same insecurities that you do. So let me get this. It says screen sharing has stopped. So do you want me to share that again? How's that? All right, let me get this show started. I'm going to talk about 5 things today. And these 5 things can be applied very quickly into a business. They're not going to take 6 months to do. You could get all of them in place by December the 31st of 2024, so you can use them starting January the 1st of 2025. And if you do these things, you will close twice as much business as you normally do with the same number of activities. If you decide, and you have to forgive me, I've got the beginning stages of a cold. Sarah Michelle believes I have COVID. Let me, sorry, Nate. Sorry, Nate. Was that inappropriate? Should I not do that if you have COVID? So it's too soon. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So just forgive me if I coughed a little bit. But these are things that they are not even new things that you have to do. They're things you already do. I'm just going to suggest some ways to do them differently. And I don't know if you guys are interested in this, but I want to get the most results I can possibly get with the least amount of time invested from me. Meaning I want to be able to get sales, and the truth is what I would like to do is nothing. Literally nothing. And so I have to take all of the people who work on the team in Metro Atlanta, and I have to teach them how to have conversations that convert people, that get people's attention, that make someone say, gosh, I can't do this if I'm not doing it with Susie or whoever the agent is. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. It's 5 things that can be easily applied. And we've got a issue with the clicker here. Let's see if I can get it. What's that? Yeah, the clicker's not working. This is fun. I can just go through the slides. Let me tell you what the second one looks like. It's really cool. There it is. So today we're going to talk about the activities to achievement index, and some of you are not going to like this because it's going to show you what your problem is. And here's the thing: human nature is we don't need any help feeling inferior to other people. We don't need anybody to help us do that. We all tend to be pretty good at doing that on our own. So when I ask you to start measuring yourself against the benchmarks you've set for yourself, understand that if you can ever get yourself to do that, it will change your life. It will change your life because it will take something that seems like a very complicated process and it'll make it very simple. So you have one thing to focus on, and that is it. We're going to talk about connecting with your SOI and your past clients on a deeper level. A lot of you have heard of the Top 50 program. I'm going to give you a slightly different way to look at the Top 50 program that should help make it work significantly better for you. We're going to talk about the ideal timing and purpose of follow-up. How many of you have huge customer bases or huge databases of leads that you've received over the years? You just know you need to call them. You're driving home going, dang, I need to make some follow-up calls, but you don't do it because you don't know what to say. What do I say? I got your, what's your first name, sir? Art, I got your lead 3 years ago. What am I supposed to do? Hey, I saw you wanted to see the home on Lake Street. You want to go see it tomorrow? Art's thinking, this guy's got some kind of learning disability or something. I'm not sure what's going on. It doesn't make any sense to him. So we're going to talk about the timing, the cadence, how often do you follow up, and why are you following up? We're going to talk about creating deeper connections through value exchange. Anytime somebody invests their time in you, there is a cost to them. If Nate allows me to get close enough to him, he is vulnerable because now I can influence him the way I want to influence him. I can waste his time. I can call his phone number. I can text him too much. So anytime you meet face-to-face with someone, there is a cost to that person. And if you understand this, you will learn how to get people to do what you want them to do. Because if you're investing in me, I must invest in you. And me showing you a home, that's not an investment. That's taking. Because when I show you a home, I'm trying to take something from you, and that is the commission that would be paid on that transaction. And I know that sounds weird, but it's basic human nature. It is true. So we have to turn our prospecting efforts into giving instead of taking. And that is not easy to do. And then I'm going to teach you to use mortgage to convert more clients. You guys have a great internal resource here that you can use to convert clients in that prospect to client conversion. In many cases, we get serious about mortgage once we have the buyer under contract. It's a waste of time. Who cares who does their mortgage after they're under contract? As long as somebody can get it done. But if you can use mortgage services to increase your value as an agent, that is where the rubber meets the road. That's where you can start to see a significant improvement in results. Now, I've got a buddy here who wants to talk a little bit about consistency, and let me see if I can get this video playing here. Hold on.
One of the most powerful forces in life is consistency. It's consistency. Being able to do something in repetition over and over and over again. That's how you start big movement. That's how one of the most powerful forces in life is consistency. It's consistency. Being able to do something in repetition over and over and over again. That's how you start big movement. That's how you get big results. That's how you build a body. That's how you build a business, is consistency. It's small wins every single day. The guys that are in Cooperstown, the best baseball players to ever play the game, they're not the dudes that swung for the fences every single time. It's the boring dudes who got on base over and over and over again. You want to win really, really, really big in life. You want to build a badass relationship and a badass business. Be consistent.
Level of consistency. Now, I want you to think about this for just a second. Let's just say for a minute the business doesn't even matter. That's actually frozen. It's still got Sarah on that, so I'm not sure what's happening. Sarah, you're doing an excellent job with the presentation. Excellent. Oh, low battery. All right. So when you think about it, how many wish you hadn't been in one of those? Okay, sorry. Okay, so I want you to think about this. This is the person on earth that you're supposed to love the most. How does inconsistency in those relationships cause problems? If you're in a relationship with someone and they do things that you do not like them to do, if you understand it and it is consistent, it still feels like security because you know what to expect. Even if it's not what you want, you're like, okay, I expected that, no problem, my fault, I stepped into that one. The problem is when we are inconsistent, and here's the problem, all humans are inconsistent. Why? Because you got this whole package of emotions that goes along with you everywhere you go. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm thinking, what in the hell am I doing getting up? This is stupid. And I can't get under my bed because it's too close to the ground, but I'd like to crawl under it and just kind of hide for the day underneath my bed. And the truth is my life is good and it's fairly easy, knock on wood. But sometimes I'm just not feeling it. The problem is when we allow our emotions to control how we show up, it makes us very, very inconsistent. And so here's what we got to do. From a real estate perspective, we have to decide what we're going to do, and we have to do it. We cannot connect the outcome of what we're doing to whether or not we do it. You cannot do that. You just have to do it. If you win, great. If you lose, that's okay too. You just have to keep doing it. And in today's world, we look for, as real estate agents, people who want to buy or sell homes, right? I'm looking for somebody who wants to sell or buy, and preferably someone who sees a clear path for moving forward. Here's our problem. There aren't any of those in the market today. The market is weird. They don't see their clear path for moving forward. So stop looking, and this is the first thing I want you to remember. Stop looking for people who want to sell a home. Stop looking for people who want to buy a home. And start looking for people who would love to sell or buy, but they feel stuck. If you find somebody and that person says to you, Art, no way, I can't do it, man. Interest rates are too high. Boom. That's your one right there, because their life is on hold because of interest rates. This is a very, very personal thing to them, and it should be personal to you. Their life is on hold. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, can't move, interest rates too high. I said, oh my gosh, I understand that, my interest rates were high when I bought as well, and so I know it can certainly dissuade people from moving forward. How is that affecting your life? And this person almost started crying because she said, I feel like a failure as a mother. I got to get my kids in a new school district. Here's the things that's happening. It's not a good environment for them. This is a big deal. And she's not the only one in the United States of America that feels that way. They are everywhere. Take the number of sales that we've been short for the last few years over what we were doing before. All those people are still pent-up demand. They all still want to buy. They want to sell. I have never met a woman living in a house who wants to sell her house who changes her mind 3 days later. She wants to sell it now. She wants to sell it 6 months from now. She wants to sell it 2 years from now. She's ready to go. And so we have to look for people who are stuck, and we have to give them, now listen to this, a system that is the solution. Now I'm going to tell you something that's going to hurt all your feelings. Brandy, nobody cares about you. And you, my friend, are not the system. Now I care about her. I care about her. I want good things for her. But the truth is, I do not care about Brandy as much as I care about myself. And you can't help it. It's human nature. I mean, I know when I'm thirsty. I know when I need to go to the bathroom. I don't know that about anybody else. So it makes sense for me to be more focused on myself. And so as we are moving forward, we have to help people understand that we understand them, and that we have a system that could potentially be the solution to their problem. Somebody says, can't move forward because interest rates are too high. I said, fantastic, I understand that, makes sense. How's that holding you up? We meet, we connect. And then I say, have you ever heard about our appreciation offset system? Well, no, I haven't, Cleve. Well, let me tell you just a little about it. It doesn't mean that you need to move forward, but I have some software that I can use to analyze the total additional cost if you move forward, buying a home at a little bit higher interest rate compared to the appreciation of the home. And in many cases, you can live in that home at the higher interest rate for as long as 7 years and still wind up coming out ahead when you look at the appreciation. I'm not asking you if you want to move forward or not. I'm asking you if you'd like to see the numbers. That is a system, and that is an offer. And when you do that, you have the ability to redirect what somebody is thinking about. If I say, Nate, you're going to be in good hands. I'm going to take care of you, brother. I'm going to take care of you, brother. It's all me. I'm going to take care of you. I know what's going on. I'm the biggest producer. I'm the this. You are setting yourself up for a job that is absolutely miserable. But if I say, Nate, I can help you move forward, and we're going to use this system to do it, and I got a bunch of people who specialize in all these steps of these systems, and we're going to all be together for you. It is the system that Nate believes is going to solve his problem, not Cleve. And the truth is, I don't want people calling me at 9 o'clock at night. Truthfully, I don't want them to call me at all, ever. I don't even turn my ringer on. People are always like, what's wrong with you? You never answer your phone. I don't even know where it is. Like, I don't want to answer it. We set ourselves up to have people depend on us more than we probably should be dependent upon. And it's because we think that the way we do things is so different and so much better than everybody else does. Excuse me, I'm having problems with the slides here. But the truth is that like I had a hard time referring business out to my agents because I thought I was a great buyer's agent. Like nobody can represent them the better than I could. But I have a problem. I mean, like after I showed the buyer the first house, I wanted to throw them out of my car on the way to the second house. Like I was literally over this problem. I'm like, you suck. You either go buy a house or not. I can't deal with this. It's crazy. I'm telling myself this stuff in my mind. Oh my God, I'm gonna be spending 3 weeks with this person. It's crazy as hell. And her breath stinks. That's not healthy. I had buyer's agents who love working with buyers, love looking at houses. They go in the house and they talk for 15 minutes about the pantry. I'll open the door to the pantry and close it right back because even if something's in there, I can't find it anyway because I don't like looking for stuff. So all I do is open the pantry door and say, where's the peanut butter? I said, well, right in front of your face. I don't want to help people find stuff. but I can create a system that other people can use to help them find things better than anybody else on earth. 80-20 rule. 80% of the production in real estate is done by 20% of the agents. I don't know that I believe that's true. I think it's probably a little better than that. Well, who knows? Maybe it's worse than that. My point is this. Why does someone deserve to be more successful than you? Why? But do they deserve it more than you? Thank you. I love that. Attitude in the back. She lotioned up. Hey, by the way, do you guys see how beautiful no, there's no prizes for you. Can we ask her to leave the room? She's being very obnoxious. It's a little too much here. No. By the way, she oiled my nails today. Aren't they beautiful? Aren't they beautiful? I think it might have been cannabis oil or something. I think it might have been cannabis oil. Snake oil, since that's what we're selling. Whatever the amount of income you want to make, you ought to be able to figure out a way to make it, and you ought to be able to get it from real estate, and it ought to come in fairly equal bites and chunks, meaning not 20,000, nothing, 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 15,000, nothing, 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 45,000. That's no way to make a living. That's no way to make yourself feel stable and secure. You got to produce that income. You want to make 200,000, make $16,000 a month, every month. And you can do that through your activities. When you start January the 1st of next year in business, if you feel like, oh my gosh, another year, I got to start this crap all over again, you're not building a business. You're not building a business if you feel like you're starting over. And you can create a real estate business that is very predictable. Can you control every bit of it? No. Can you create one that's predictable? Absolutely. 100%. So you got to have specialization and you got to have systemization, meaning you have to have the systems in place. So think about this, and I'm just going to take one of these business cards, and this business card is my listing system. This is the system. It has all my steps outlined on it that I use to sell a home. So when I go to Nate Martinez's house, I'm going to sell him my system, not me. I'm going to sell him our ability to do the things that are listed on this system. And it changes the nature of everything. And then you can have every single person who works with you, transaction coordinator, listing marketing person, whatever you have, and maybe it's just you. But if you create the systems, you have less to think about because you're just following the same system over and over and over again. Anything you do 3 or more times, you need a system. Start delegating to others sooner than later. If you don't like it, do it. Delegating to other people is not hard. Delegating to other people when you think you can do it better than they can, that's hard. Delegate it, shut your mouth, see what they do. Delegate it again, shut your mouth, and see what they do. If they don't do what you want them to do, give them some corrective action to take. You can't say, oh, Sarah, didn't we talk 2 hours about this last week? Huh? I mean, the only 2 hours that I was in the office and I was hurried and I wasn't really paying attention to you anyway. Don't you remember us talking about this? Why can't you do it? And Sarah's sitting there thinking, wait a minute. I think he's calling me lazy and stupid all at the same time. I told you how to do it, Tina. Why can't you do it? It's because you don't have the same understanding. No, it's just you don't have the same understanding. Most people want to do what they need to do. Most people are good people. They just are. We're going to talk about activity tracking, top 50 SOI, ABCs of follow-up, value exchange offers, and mortgage advocacy today. And when we jump into it, our first subject is activity tracking. Awareness is the key. Awareness is the key. And I know when you see the slides that I'm going to show you, you're going to think, hey, I don't know that this would actually work for me. But it is all about the number of calls or contacts you make, the number of appointments you set, the number of meetings you have, and the number of closings you have. And Tanya, if you focus on this far box right here first, you focus on this one, you're never going to win. You're never going to win because everybody who deals with you, they can smell it on you. You're just trying to get to a closing. So when you're on the phone with somebody, you're trying to do what? Set an appointment. Once you set an appointment, you're trying to actually get the appointment to show up, which means you got to say different things here in order to make sure that they show up there. You ever notice sometimes you set an appointment to show a home to a buyer and they don't show up? What's up with that? Doesn't make any sense. They called, they asked me to show up. It's because you didn't do the right things to tie that appointment down to make sure that they do show up. And so when you look at these numbers, you have to be so specific. And by the way, you'll have the ability to go download this. You'll have the whole presentation, so you'll have all these numbers. If you get leads in, online leads from any source, if you get 100 of them and you make 100 phone calls, your goal should be to set 15 appointments. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that. Depends on your definition of an appointment. Your goal is to meet with 80% of those, and your goal is to close somewhere between 18 and 22% of the ones you meet with. Higher if they're sellers, possibly in this range, or a little bit lower if they're buyers. Today, we have found that nationally, inexperienced agents need to go on 3 or 4 listing presentations to get a listing. An experienced listing agent needs to go on 2. Any listing agent that says, I list 98% of my listing appointments, just ask them, have you ever been to meet with somebody besides your brother and your sister and your mother? Like, that's not the way it works. You can't get 90% of the people you go on listing appointments with to even actually want to sell by the time you're finished. How can you convert 90%? So I count those meetings where they're not ready to sell, I count them as a listing appointment. And for 12 or 14 years, I closed 54% of those listings. Never higher than 54%, but I closed about 54%, and it worked out almost the same way every single year, which means it was the number of people I was getting face-to-face with that was determining my results. Now, I had to do the right things as well. So let's take a look at this. Let me give you kind of the truthful numbers. It's really fun when you have to reset your remote every time you forward a slide. The reality is it'll probably be 100 calls, 13 appointments, 10 meetings, 2 closings. It'll probably work out different. The first one, this one, is your benchmarks, meaning this is what you should be shooting to do, and this is what you should do. And if you do not, if you made 100 phone calls, outbound phone calls, and you couldn't set 12, 13, 14 appointments for something, then your mindset is not right. It could be that you're looking for somebody who needs to sell or buy a home. And what you need to be looking for is someone who wants to sell or buy a home who feels stuck. And then you need to figure out, how do I get in front of those people so that then and only then I have a chance to convert them, even if they say they don't want to sell for 2 years. Those are the people I want to go see, because if I can ever get face-to-face with them, then the odds are they're going to remember me when it's time to sell their house, and I'm totally fine with that investment. So let's take a look. For those of you who are and you, how many of you know about daily success habits? Man, do you love using this? Do you love it?
Fantastic.
People who would lie about that would lie about other things too. We need to watch him. We need to watch him. So the truth is, I freaking hate it. I hate it because I've already told you I don't need any help feeling less than. God put that in me the day I was born. I had the ability to feel inferior to other people. I hate that feeling. And so I don't want somebody pointing out to me, yeah, just as a reminder, you are inferior. And by the way, you're inferior too, and you're less than, and you're, you know, but this is me comparing myself to my own benchmark. I can't be inferior to myself. But if I'm not making enough phone calls, I'm not sending enough text messages, I'm not following up, I'm not going to be successful. And in many cases, when we're not successful in real estate sales, what do we blame it on? And let's be honest. What do we blame it on? Business market. The market. How many homes are currently for sale in Phoenix today? Of today, how many? That number is so off, it's not even funny. All of them. Every single home, every single everything in Phoenix is for sale today for the right price. Everything. Now, I'm not saying that it's our job to get everybody in Phoenix to list. What I'm telling you is the 22,000, that's just the tip of the iceberg of the people who actually do want to sell. It's just the tip of the iceberg of the people who want to buy. You got to look at that. All homes are available for sale all the time. If you don't like this type of tracking, use whatever tracker you want. But you have to have something in place to hold yourself accountable and to make it where you can move forward. Okay, so when you are systematizing your activities, you can produce results. Sarah Michelle, could I ask you some questions? How much money would you like to make next year? And please don't give me anything that doesn't start with a 3.
Okay, then I guess
Yeah, what were you gonna say? What were you gonna say? No, no, hurry up. I got time to wait. I'm just kidding.
really put me on the spot here.
I'm sorry.
Let's say 3.
300,000?
Yeah.
Well, what would you have said? I'm just curious. 150?
No, 250.
250. Well, see, we're already up 50,000. This is working great, right? We're already up 50,000. So she wants to make 300,000. How much? And let's just say you were only going to work the seller side of the business. Can we just pretend that? I know you represent buyers, sellers, and everything. How much is your average commission on a listing sale?
9,000.
$9,000. Now, how many closings does she need to get in order to hit 300,000? Who can do the math for me? 300,000 divided by 9,000. How many? Are we guessing? I don't like answers in the form of questions. I'm sorry. How many? That's exactly right. 33. All right. So she needs 33 closings. What percentage of your listing appointments do you convert, Miss Sarah? Got to be a good number.
Let's say 65.
65? Can we just do 50?
Sure.
Can we say that some days you're not going to have the best attitude, and so we got to account for that too?
Sure.
Some days I'm driving to a listing appointment, I don't even want to go. So I don't want to go. I walk in the house, I don't like them. I don't like the house, I don't like them, I don't like her, I don't like him. I'm not sure what's going on. Something's wrong with me. So I can't show up like I do love them when I don't love them. So I have to give room for me to have emotions. So she has to go on 2 listing appointments in order to get a listing. Sarah's job in 2025 is to go on 66 listing appointments. And here's the cool thing. They don't have to all be ready to sell or buy today. In fact, I will tell you right now, if she could figure out how to make half of those be with people who are not ready to buy or sell today, she would probably still convert and close the same number of listings, and her pipeline for 2026 would be huge. Simplify it. Nate will tell you, if anybody in the world has the ability to complicate a concept, it's me. Because I always think we can outthink everybody. And that makes things complicated, but we can't outthink everybody. Not trying to outsmart people. We're trying to get in front of people who are considering buying or selling a house. And next year, Sarah Michelle's job is 66 listing presentations. How many is that a month? Yeah, this group needs a little bit of help. 66 divided by 12. 5.5. So can we just round it to 6? Could you do 6 listing appointments every month? Like you could do 6 listing appointments a month and have another full-time job. Like literally, it doesn't take that much time. Hour and a half. Sometimes if I go on listing appointments and they're very talkative and I think they like what I'm saying, I'll keep on talking. So it might take 2 hours, but they don't take that long, right? So you got to know your numbers. You systematize your activities. You control your results. At the end of January, Sarah needs to ask herself one question. Did I do 6 listing presentations for the month? If the answer is no, she's got to do more than the 6 the next month to make up or figure out a way to do that. And what's so cool is when Sarah Michelle puts her head on the pillow at night, if she is accepting responsibility for her lack of activities, meaning, you know what, when I get up tomorrow, I've got to figure out ways to get in front of more people. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. Magic starts to happen. Now, you might have to do vagus nerve stimulation or something like that so you can actually sleep, because I don't want you worrying about all that stuff all night long. But it gets very, very clear what you need to do. My job every single year when I was in production selling houses was to go on 130 listing presentations for the year. 130. That's not a lot. It's 2.5 a week. It's 2.5 a week. That leaves me another 80 hours every single week that I could actually work doing other things. I could work in the yard. I could do the things that I wanted to do. So you got to know your numbers. Make sure you remember that. Top 50 SOI and past clients. How many of you would like to get more business from people who've done business with you before? They say over 90% of the people who work with an agent say I'd use that agent again, but very few of them do. What's the problem? What's the problem? Help me with that. What's that? No follow-up. What's the problem from the consumer standpoint? They don't remember you. So when you follow up with somebody you've done business with in the past, you only have 3 goals. I want them to remember my name. It'd be great if they could remember what I look like, and I'd like for them to know how to contact me. That's it. So if you think there's some fancy song and dance you can do when you're following up with your past clients in your sphere to convince them when they know they can't move forward for 5 years to move forward and sell their house today, that's not the way it works. I have to wait on the consumer to be ready to do something, and I have to make sure they think of me when it's time to do something. And the coolest thing is, if you think about it that way, it takes all of the pressure out of any of the calls that you would make. My goals are 3. I want them to remember my name. As long as I'm not too heavy, I'd like them to remember my face. Depends on how much I'm eating, how much salt I've eaten the day before. And number 3, I want them to know how to contact me. That's it. That's it. So what I have to do is I have to give them something that would be of enough value to make them want to remember me. Now, Workman has a book called 8651. You guys have probably seen that. For those of you who haven't seen it, you can get it in a download. It's how to do 86 deals a year, working with the 50 people most likely to give you referrals 1 hour per day. Never seen anybody do 86 deals, but I've seen people do 50, 45. I've seen people do a lot of deals from this program, but I want to give you a different flavor for how I think that program should work. This is a top 50 tracker. You'll have the ability to download this as well. It's where you're keeping up with the people that you're calling. And you have one significant, meaningful interaction with everybody on your top 50 list. And the top 50 list is of people who know, like, and trust you, who would be likely to refer business to you. Yes?
You guys all have access to this through the training center. I know a lot of you have taken BAM, RAM, SLAM with me in the past, but you guys all have access to this. You just have to log in. If you don't know your login, get with Kim and she'll hook you up.
Or you can just go to the download page and get it, and then you'll have everything you need to. It'll be easy. Now, there's some great videos that you can go watch in the training center that explain how to use this. But I want you to think of top 50 differently. When you put someone on your top 50 list, they are not top 50 yet. Because in most cases, they should be in a status called apology. Because you got to call and straighten out all the years that you haven't ever followed up with them. You got to call them and say, hey, listen, Nate, I know I told you at closing, man, we were close, and you know, I wanted to see you all the time and spend time with you and take care of you and all that kind of stuff. But I hadn't remembered your freaking name for 5 years. When we get through with closing, we're like, I'm going to take care of you. You and I are going to be best friends. And then we never call them again. So first, put them in a status called apology, which means you need to call, you need to apologize for not following up. And now you got to do 3 things. Number 1, you have to tell them what you are trying to do. Meaning I have to tell them that I want them to give me referrals. Oh my God, how yucky is that? But see, if you don't tell them that you need them to give you referrals, they're not going to do it. Number 2, you have to get their permission for you to ask for referrals. And number 3, when I call Roberta and I say, Roberta, I've been a bad friend for 5 years, but we're fixing to step this baby up. I'm going to be your best friend in the whole world. I got to do it. And that's our problem. We tell people what we're going to do, but sometimes we're not necessarily likely to do it. So earn the right. Now, I got a daughter who's in PA school, who also added an extra year to her education in PA school. It's so much money. It's a lot of money. And so I have to pay for it. And so if I was talking to Nate Martinez, I'd say, hey, Nate, I've started a new program. It's called Top 50. It's the 50 people who I believe know, like, and trust me, and I know, like, and trust. And I would like to know if you would be okay if you and I had a conversation, maybe a lunch or a dinner or something once a month. And I'd like your permission to ask you if you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell a home. Would that be okay with you? Could be that the answer is no, and that's okay, because now I know the person shouldn't be on my list. But I've got to get to that position, and I've got to tell him why. Now, when I used to be in the vacuum cleaner business, we would hire college kids to sell vacuum cleaners. Oh my God, they were the greatest secret weapon in the world. They were so stupid. They would do whatever you told them to do. And you'd give them a card like this, and it had 15 boxes on the card. And if this person, this college student, did 15 demonstrations a week for their entire summer, which for most people would have been a 10-week period, so 150 presentations over 10 weeks, they would get a college scholarship of $500. Really much of a scholarship. But they would go to the door and they would say, hey, my name's Cleve. I'm with Electrolux. I can come in and shampoo a room of carpet. I'm trying to fill in all 15 of these slots, cleaning people's carpet this week. And if I do this every week for 10 weeks, I get a college scholarship. Can you help me? Oh, my Lord. Yes, exactly. Well, there's still people selling rainbow vacuum cleaners and filter queen and all that kind of stuff. You have to tell them why you need it. So, Nate, I'm going to ask you for referrals because Kyla is finishing up her last 2 years of PA school. And I realized that I budgeted for the first 3 years, but I didn't budget for the last 2 because I'm not even sure how we got to where we're having 2 more. And so I'm trying to make enough extra money so that when she's out, everything is paid for and I don't know a dime. You think, well, nobody cares about that. Oh, yes, they do. When they know what you're looking for and you tell them something vulnerable, they care about you. And they want to help you. So you have to work through that process. So top 50 should be worked very differently. Number 1, get permission to ask them for referrals. Number 2, call them every 30 days, no matter what. The cool thing is, and you'll have this as a download, it's part of your training center anyway, but one of the tabs on your top 50 spreadsheet are the monthly initiatives. So you have 2 different things you can do with other suggestions for January, February, March, April. January every year, ours is, hey, we're doing a mortgage review. We don't know if we can save you any money, but our goal is to save everybody we do one of these analysis for $300 a month, meaning that's what we're looking for. If you want, I'll set an appointment, hook you up with a lender. They'll do the analysis for you free of charge. That's providing somebody a good service. People say, well, you can't say you're going to save them $300. I didn't say I was going to save them $300. I said my goal was to look to find them $300 a month worth of savings. We might find it and we might not. Does that make sense? So you have to have something that moves people forward through the process. Top 50 is a very powerful thing. And if you want to talk about something that'll give you a feeling of continuity from year to year, top 50 will do it. Now, you want the magic SOI and past client follow-up program? Raise your hand if you want the magic one. Okay, this thing's going to last 3 hours. Raise your hand if you want the magic one. Better see. And they went up in an aggressive fashion. I like that. That was much better. So this is real simple. All of your SOI and past clients need to be in the CRM and labeled correctly. So for us, they would be labeled as a past client or they would be labeled as SOI. And if they had ever given us a referral, they would also be labeled as gold referral. People who've given us referrals in the past. Everybody that gives us a referral during the year, we treat them just like they're a client when it comes to Christmas gifts and stuff like that. Number 2, do not ever send a piece of mail out without having address service requested on the envelope. This is really fun the way this works. There we go. Address service requested. Have it printed on the envelope because that's how you're going to keep your database clean. And when you do this, oh my gosh, you're going to hurt your feelings because you're going to mail out 200 postcards and 3 of them are going to come back saying these people live at a different address and you didn't help them buy the house. But that's the best feedback you can possibly get because there are transactions happening around you all the time that you should be involved in that you're not involved in. Then you got to include a value exchange offer in all communications. Value exchange in exchange for your time to read this, I will give you something interesting to read. I know that sounds weird, but you got to offer somebody something. People say, well, what are you going to offer them? I say, I'm going to offer them an in-the-know neighborhood report for their neighborhood. It's going to detail, now listen when I describe this and see if you can figure out what I'm describing. It's going to give them every listing in the neighborhood that's currently listed and all the details. It's going to give them all the pending sales in the neighborhood or whatever that are currently pending with all the details. It's going to give them all the closings within the last year and all the details on those. And It's going to show them all of the properties in the neighborhood that were rejected by the market, and I'm going to try to figure out why. What am I offering to give them? A CMA. I want you to think about that, and I'm going to teach you some languaging around that in just a little bit. It's very powerful. We say everybody gives CMAs. Yes, but what I describe it doesn't sound like a CMA. It sounds like a secret weapon we are going to use to slay a seller or two in that neighborhood when we get ready to look for houses. Very, very important. You got to do 4 client events per year. How many? How many? You got to send 12 email newsletters every single month. Why do we want to send the newsletters out? Yep, but be specific. I want them to remember my name. I want them to remember what I look like if possible, so they're not surprised when I come to the door. And I want them to know how to contact me. What's in the email newsletter has nothing to do with that. I have to have some reason to send the email so they can see the name Cleve Gaddis. And if I want them to really remember my name, I'd say Cleveland Gaddis, because then they go, okay, I understand that. If not, I'm going to call him Steve, because I don't understand what Cleve is. You got to send 6 postcards or letters mailed each year. You got to mail something straight to their home, whatever it looks like. We do recipes and stuff like that. I just want them to see my name, my picture, have my contact information. That's all I want. And then you got to do 1 annual neighborhood CMA mailing per year, meaning on the anniversary of their purchase, on the anniversary, you will send them a updated CMA, mail it, snail mail. It should be thick. It should feel like something awesome. Print it, put it in a thing, and send it to them. People say they don't care. I want them to know your name. I want them to know how to contact you, and I want them to know what you look like. And that's it. Any questions about this? And again, you'll be able to download this because you can go to the landing page and it's right there for you. And nobody's going to get your information if you go to the landing page. It's a private one. I don't want anybody to try to sell you coaching. Okay, ABCs of follow-up. Now, this document that you're going to get is called the Cadence and Purpose of Follow-up. You've all heard A, B, C. How are we doing time-wise, Nate? Good? How much more time do I have? A week, thank you. If I could do it. Would you guys stay with me for a week if I... About 30 minutes. Sarah was so mean. Everybody else says you can take a week. Sarah says 30 minutes. You better finish up. No. So, I'm kidding. So people are categorized as an A, a B, or a C. A is ready to buy or sell immediately, and you have an appointment with them. If you do not have an appointment with them, they are not an A. So if you go show a buyer a home, and the buyer says, hey, I'm ready to buy or sell immediately, and you leave them and you don't already have the appointment set for the next times for showings, they're not an A, they're a B. So you got to categorize them as B so you don't forget to follow up with them every other week. A lot of pressure, 29 minutes, oh Lord. It's getting bad up here. Can I get a couple of you guys in the back to filter in up here? I need some positivity around me. B, ready to buy or sell in less than 90 days. How do you find out whether or not 90 days? You say, hey, can you tell me what your time frame is? Are you A, ready to buy or sell now? B, maybe ready to buy or sell in less than 90 days, or C, maybe more than 90 days? That's what we should be asking every single lead that flows through our system. All of them. All of them. And here's the deal. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to call you when you don't want to be called. So if you'll just tell me kind of what you are, then I can follow up in a way that makes sense to you. Or they're a C, they're ready to buy or sell in more than 90 days. Timing is uncertain. Is 12 years greater than or equal to, greater than or less than 90 days? So if they say 12 years, they're still A, right? Which means you need to follow up with them every single month, and I'll show you that. Now, the B, prospecting, and I want you to remember this. If somebody is within 90 days, you're going to use a specific follow-up method called specific. Easy to remember, right? When they're less than 90 days, it's specific follow-up. Specific property, specific feature. Specific neighborhood, specific feature. Specific city, specific zip code, specific swim and tennis community, specific whatever it is. You are talking about something that is tangible, that they could go and see and touch today if they wanted to. Something specific with a specific feature. So if you have a KV Core website, maybe, and you can tell what people are going on and searching online on your website, you just find the property that they already found. You literally open up their searches, take the first one on the list, 1234 First Street, click on it, look at the first 5 pictures. Oh my gosh, that stove in the kitchen looks like it's a $10,000 stove. You ready for the follow-up? Hey, Nate, I wanted to make sure you saw the property at 1234 First Street. It was the one that had the amazing rust color front door and then a stove and range in the kitchen that is like to die for. Specific property, specific feature. And in this case, I gave you 2 because I thought the door was unusual. I just look at the first 5 pictures and pick something to talk to them about. Because when I do that, Nate is going to understand what I'm doing because he's in the mindset of moving forward. And in many cases, home buyers do not think agents find them properties. And the reason they think that is because the agents don't find them properties. I'm going to set you up on a search, Nate, and when you see something you want, you just give me a call, okay? Now, I need your purchase price to be about $1 million because I've done my calculations and I'm going to need that $30,000. That's what you're saying to somebody. And Nate's like, I'm not working with you. I'm not going to do that. It doesn't make any sense. But if I'm calling him and I say, hey, Nate, I want to make sure you saw the house 1234 First Street. Now, I know you live in Blackstone. It's an amazing area. This is like a Blackstone home, but it's on like 2 or 3 acres. Absolutely amazing. We got to go see it. Specific property, specific feature. Does that make sense? It makes it very, very simple. And all of the follow-up you do with your prospects, you're turning that follow-up, which in many cases does not promote or prompt action. You're making it very actionable. You're doing something that is designed to move somebody forward. So specific, prospecting based as much as possible on a specific property, specific feature. You can put any word you want to right there instead of property. Specific city, specific neighborhood. You know, I want to live in whatever. I want to live in this school district. Oh, here's another neighborhood that I found. You give the specific name of the neighborhood, you give a specific feature. It's the one that has the equestrian trails all through the neighborhood. Doesn't matter if that's what they want or not. They're going to feel that you are trying to help them move forward. And in many ways, that's exactly what you're trying to do. Now, C is market general. Don't call somebody who's going to buy or sell a house in 12 years and tell them about a specific property and a specific feature because they are going to think something is wrong with you. Your follow-up won't make any sense to them at all. So this is all about serving. It's just serving. Tell me the most interesting real estate article you've read in the last few weeks. Somebody tell me an interesting article and something that it said that was very interesting to you. And please, God, somebody answer this question because you're real estate professionals. You've got to be doing training on real estate.
Probably the NAR settlement has fallen apart, coming back together again.
Okay. Okay. So is that market general information? No. Could you do follow-up based on that? Absolutely. So your follow-up for the month is, hey, Cleve Gaddis, Remax, just call and tell you I've been doing a lot of research on I don't know if you've heard about all the different commission stuff going on in real estate, but I've been doing some research. I've been doing some real estate. Easy me to say. I would say that on a phone call, by the way. Sometimes I'm making phone calls and I'm like, what the hell, what words just came out of my mouth? What happened? Well, something's wrong here. But I was doing some research and, there's all kinds of like opposing forces going on in terms of real estate commissions. I prepared, based on everything I've read, kind of a summary of what's going on. I'm going to shoot that to you via email. And if you review it and if it's of any interest and you want to know how it would affect the sale of your house, just call me and let me know. Simple. Anything you think is interesting. So I go to market, what's it called? Keeping Current Matters. Nate, would you stop moaning in the back? Thank you. Good to see you. When you make those follow-up, when you make the follow-up with C's, it's anything. I use Keeping Current Matters. I just pick a chart that says, here's what's predicted for interest rates. The truth is that, listen, nobody knows what interest rates are going to be. It don't matter if they predict them or not, but it's very interesting to look at it, right? It's very interesting. So that's your market general follow-up. Everybody must be in your database. Everybody must be categorized correctly. If you have anybody in your database that is not categorized, you need to put them back in a different status. In Boomtown, it would be called qualify, which is what we use. And the job is for agents to qualify them, to see what they are. Can you imagine if you had a database of 500 people and you had 50 that were Bs You had 4 that were A's, meaning you actually had appointment with them, and then you had the rest of them that were C's. And all you had to do is come up with one topic, and you called every single C and said exactly the same thing. Maybe when you get sophisticated, you're going to want to do a C seller conversation and a C buyer conversation, some kind of market data that makes sense for both of them, but it is very powerful. And the reason this works is because it causes you to feel better about following up with them in the first place, because you are giving, not taking, which means you will actually make the phone calls that you know you should be making all along. And when you are in a giving frame of mind, the energy you bring to the conversation is very, very different. And honestly, if I prospected Nate and I was in the giving frame of mind and he totally rejected me, it would not make me feel bad for myself, but it would make me feel sorry for him. And you laugh, but it's true. I would be thinking, oh, poor Nate, he thinks I'm probably trying to do something. I'm just really trying to help him. And you know what? All I can do is all I can do. And I'm going to call him back the next month. So it's not going to make me feel personally rejected, which is a very, very powerful place to be. You'll also have some examples of some scripts. This is very similar to what I used for you a few minutes ago for the B. Follow-up phone calls. Call in to make sure you notice the property at 1234 First Street. I saw you yesterday. It's the one with the beautiful rust color. I've heard that before. It's the beautiful color rust front door. You really need to see this one. Do you have time Wednesday or Thursday to go see it? Boom, boom, boom. C's, very simple. When you go download this, you'll have all of this scripting that you can use to make a C follow-up phone call. And remember this, I was doing some research and found something that I thought would be interesting to you. Now you need to come up with 12 different ways to say that. So the next month is, oh my, I was doing some research and it made me think of you immediately. Just all different ways, but you got to tell them, I was doing some research because I'm preparing, I'm an expert in the market, and I found something that I thought you would be interested in. I'm going to send it over to you. Ideally, you would take the resource, and in this particular case, this is a little bit older. Let me see, I don't have it, sorry. I don't have the slide that I wanted to show you here, but this was just a market graph that showed what would happen with inventory if you read it, and I literally would just take it in a little JPEG and text it to their cell phone with my name and my phone number. I wouldn't send a picture on the text message. That'd be weird. Could, I get do a selfie. Do a selfie and send it to them. But I just want to remember my name and how to communicate with me. Now, I put together a schedule for you. If you don't know what to talk about market general, you can just follow this in 2025. January, interest rates, prior year review of market data. That'd be good. February, talk about supply and demand. How does that affect pricing? March, you do rate buy downs. How does that affect payments? Then you do a quarterly review of market data. Then you talk about what determines interest rates. Everybody says the Federal Reserve reduced interest rates, and I'm thinking, who cares? You're wasting all of your words. Like, it doesn't make any difference if the Federal Reserve reduced interest rate. The last 2 times they did it, went up both times. Mortgage rates went up both times. It doesn't make any sense. Property surveys, do you need one or don't you? I live in a state where nobody gets surveys, ever, for the most part. I think they need them. I don't know what you think, but put together a little something and send it out. Quarterly review of market data. Again, every 3 months you got that. Historic home price appreciation. Show them a chart all the way back to 1950. Shows average annual appreciation rate 4.92%. Pretty powerful. Real estate commission complaints. Ooh, this was the funnest one. You look at the real estate. What do you call the real estate commission in Arizona? The real estate commission. Okay, that's perfect. That works out well. So you can find all the complaints that have been made on real estate agents and find one that just makes you go, holy mackerel, and then write up a little something on it and send it out to everybody. Because now I'm saying, hey, don't forget me. And by the way, you don't want to use a Yahoo like this. Here's what I'm going to do to help solve that problem. Quarterly review, selling and or buying during the holidays. This is very popular. We talk about it all the time. It's very popular. And then preparing your home for sale and or purchase. This is a great thing to do at the end of the year. These can be your topics, and you can just rock and roll and move forward with those very simply. Now, I don't want to go through all the trouble to put all these together. And so I decided that I would use ChatGPT. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, I am a real estate agent in Phoenix. I lied to ChatGPT. I want to send out some information to all of my seller and buyer prospects in November, November. November. Stop. Don't laugh at me like that. I know how to spell November. I really do. And I want this information to focus on the positive aspects of selling or buying a home during the holidays. Keep the information. I had to think about it. You could tell I'm like, well, wait a minute. What do I want to say here? At a level that a sixth grader could understand. Because I have a sixth grade education, so that I can understand that. I also went to seventh grade too. So if any chart, graph, or picture could be included, please do. Okay, so let's see what happens. Is it cold? Feels good in here to me. Here we go. For home sellers, here's the three reasons. Yeah, that's not a great picture, but that's what it gave me. But you got a list for buyers, a list for sellers. Look, it gives you the demand and whether or not it makes sense to sell, who's more motivated, different times of the year, the picture of opportunity, which is telling you to put a picture in there, and then it shows you how to sign it. Like, now, don't just use what ChatGPT says, because it's going to hallucinate right in the middle of it. And it's going to say, and you can do this, and Russia invades Ukraine. Holidays are a great time to sell. Like, literally, it will do some weird stuff. So read it and make it your own, but use it to get it started for you. And if you start using this method for following up, A's, ready to buy or sell now, have an appointment. B, 90 days or less, specific follow-up. C's, more than 90 days, market general follow-up. Is this stuff helpful? Are you guys getting anything from it? Awesome. Love it. Okay. This was you, sir. Can you give him $20 at the end of the presentation? Because he said, absolutely, I'm learning something. I love that. I've got enough energy now to go through the rest of this whole thing. So I told you before, you have to do value exchange offers. Somebody calls you and they want to see a house. That ever happened to you? Raise your hand if that's happened to you. It's going to be 3 hours if you guys don't get back in this thing. How many times have you set an appointment to show up by our house and they didn't show up? That don't make any sense to me. Can you get me in this house this afternoon? I really need to see this house. You show up at 4 o'clock, they never show up. You call them, they don't even act like they know who you are. It's because you didn't offer to provide them any value. And so when you think about it, and this is Adam's theory, equity theory of motivation. Now, I want you to read that. All of you read that to yourself. So if the value you provide me is not equal to the cost to me, let's say my investment, whatever that looks like, I'm going to figure out a way not to do it. It's human nature. So remember the law of reciprocity. If I need you to do something for me, I need to start by doing something for you. And it increases the chances that they will feel obligated to do something for you, which is just do what you tell me you're going to do and show up. Be at Starbucks when we say we're going to meet at Starbucks. Be at your house when I say I'm coming over for a listing presentation. You're going to come over for a listing presentation, and they think you're going to try to sell their house and make a commission. End of story. They don't know what you're going to do for them right there during that appointment that you're going to leave them with that will actually help them whether or not they choose to use you. I used to go on listing appointments with my mother. She was the best salesperson in the world. And I think this is maybe a female thing. She was in her late 60s when she and I were working together. And we'd go on listing presentations, and she'd sit directly across from the husband. And the husband would say, we don't plan to list right now. It's going to be December. And my mom would look at him and she said, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying you don't want to list this week, but next week might work. And I'm listening going, what in the hell? That is not what they said. And you know what that man would say? That's exactly right. I'm glad we're on the same page. It was the most amazing thing that I have ever seen, because she's interacting with them and she's just saying, here's what I heard. Now, please don't go do that, by the way. Please don't go do that. But when you get in front of people, that's where all the magic happens. You have to have something and give them something that they want to have. Now, I want you to look at this. When the cost to the prospect is equal to the value the agent provides, it is possible that they will do what they say they are going to do for you. In many cases, the cost to the prospect exceeds the value they're going to receive from the agent. If I meet Cleve at a listing and I look at that listing, he's going to have my phone number. He's going to know what I look like. He's going to feel like we're friends. He's going to be able to call me anytime he wants to, and I don't want that. So I'm just not going to go. So in order to increase the value, you have to do something for them on the appointment that has no strings attached. Sarah, I'll see you there. I'm going to do this for you. You can take it. If you decide you want to use it with another agent, it won't hurt my feelings, but I'll understand. You can have it no matter what. When the value exceeds the cost to the prospect, that's where all the magic happens. When they feel like they are getting something that is going to improve their situation just by meeting you one time, they are way more likely to do it. You ask a seller, you go on a listing presentation, put together a few things for me, explain to them what you're going to do with the things you're asking them to put together, and you're going to do it right then and there and help them understand how this affects their value. Whatever the heck it is that you're going to do it, no strings attached. My mom used to walk through a listing presentation and she'd have a notebook like this, and she'd see something that needed to be fixed, and she'd turn around, write her notes in her notebook. And she'd say, now, if you want to know what's on this list, all you can do is list with me. And I'll tell you. I don't understand it. It worked. It wouldn't have worked for me. They'd have thrown me out of the house if I'd have said that. But the other people were with her like, great, I want to have it. Give them the damn list. Give them the list when you leave. If you serve them in selfless ways, that is an irresistible force. Help these people. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you don't like going on $200,000 listing appointments, you don't like going on $150,000 listing appointments, you should put as part of your consideration to get out of real estate. It means your heart is not in the right place. And I know that's a very strong thing for me to say, but when I go on a $120,000 listing in Metro Atlanta, and these people know nothing about nothing, and they're in the path of all the planes that take off from Hartsfield Airport, and it looks like some kind of mass shooting has happened in the basement of the house, those are the people who freaking need help. They need help. Help them. What goes around comes around. You can't do good for somebody who's in need and not have something else come around that's good for you. In most cases, though, when we go on that listing appointment, we're focused more about ourselves than we are about the consumer. And it's sad to say, but it's true. So let me give you some examples. Oh, anything, by the way, if they are over 3 months, you need to have some type of offer. Now, when you meet somebody at home to show them a home for the first time, you probably should have an offer, but the offer is going to be you can do something specific about the home, so it's fairly simple. But you need to have offers in place, and you need to have standard pre-planned offers. I'm going to give you 4 of them. I wrote them just for RE/MAX professionals. The first one is, do you remember me saying in the know earlier? I'm going to give you an in the know neighborhood report. I just made that up 2 days ago. But it sounds official, doesn't it? Sounds like a cool system. And it says, James, when we meet tomorrow at 11 to take a look at the house on Mathis Street, I'll bring with me what I consider to be a secret weapon. Whoa. I'll bring the in-the-know neighborhood report that includes all market activity in Sunnyvale over the last 12 months. It includes all homes currently listed, homes currently under contract, homes closed, and the homes rejected by the market. And then what you bring is a detailed CMA. If you want to, you can put a copy of the listing, just print them out of the listing service, put a copy staple and take it, give it to them. Doesn't matter what you give them. It matters that you give them something where you are serving them selflessly. They could use that information with another agent, not even use you. That's the magic. That's what makes it all work. Next offer. Uh-oh. Yeah, motivated seller index. Now, I give you some acronym. Is that what that's called? MSIL? So motivated seller index list. Now, I want you to think about this. I'm going to meet you at a house, and I say, hey, let me ask you a quick question before we meet. Would you be interested in getting a deal on home? Okay, now it's going to take me about 45 minutes to do this, but I'm going to do it before I meet you. Uh-oh, here comes the reciprocity. Did you hear it? It's going to take me 45 minutes to do it, but I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it for you because I like you. I'm going to bring you a list of homes in your geographic area where the sellers are more likely to be more motivated to be flexible and to negotiate with you than any of the other properties. Fair enough? And people are going, well, how do you do that? Well, duh, you go to your listing service and you type in listings in Sunnyvale. And it pulls up a list of the listings. And all the ones that have had a price decrease, it shows it right there on the first page. So I pick all the ones that have had a price decrease recently. Then I look at the listings, the number of days on the market, and I pick the listings that have been on the market for the market average days on the market or longer. In Atlanta, currently that number is 37. So if it's 37 days or longer on the market, I know they're more motivated. I also take the ones that went under contract and came back on the market. I would say that's a pretty good strategy for coming up with a more motivated seller. Huh? And here's the deal. You have the information and you would give it to them if they ask for it, but you won't tell them you're going to do it as a free service to entice them to meet with you and to pay attention to you. 2 good buyer offers? 2 good? You like them? I'm going to go 3 hours if you guys don't start responding. You guys like this? Okay, good. All right, now 2 seller ones. And these are simple. You don't have people say, well, where's the form to do this on? Just take a blank freaking sheet of paper to do this. Like literally take a notebook in there. And so, hey, Tammy, put my sweetheart's name in there. Tammy, this is called the 3-to-1 strategy list. I'm going to give you a 3-to-1 strategy, okay? What that means is I'm going to tell you the things that you can invest $1 in that'll get you $3 back at closing. You good with that? Does it need to be 1 in 4 for you? You seem kind of like you're pushing hard on this thing. 1 in 4? 1 in 3 is good? All right, good. You're looking at me like, would you stop talking to me? I was just minding my own business. Why do you have to talk to me? Tammy, I know you're not planning to sell until this time next year, and that's this is powerful. And that's exactly the reason why. If you learn to say that, I know you're not thinking of selling for a year, and that's exactly the reason why we should probably go ahead and meet in the next few weeks. People are like, oh, okay. I offer a 3-to-1 strategy list for my home sellers, and most want this list well in advance of listing. That makes sense. When we meet, I'll preview your home and leave you with a list of 3 to 5 things you could do to improve the appeal of your house. The list will only include items where I believe you'll get $3 back at closing for every $1 invested. You good with that? It's okay if I bring that? Now, I'm going to leave it with you. If you decide you want to use another agent, you can use my list. I don't like it a whole lot, but I'll understand. Tell them that. Tell them that. You take a 1-page list and literally you take your notebook and you write down the 3 different things that they need to fix and give them little details and hand it to them. Now, I used to have what's called a things to do list, and it actually had a white piece of paper that said things to do, and it had 12 lines on it. That was it. And so I just wrote it on that and gave it to them. And the cool thing today is you can take a picture of it with your cell phone and upload it to Google Drive, so you've got the exact notes that you left them when you were in the home. So when they call you back, you can talk about that same list. This stuff is powerful. Now, here's a very, very, very different strategy. This is on curb appeal. This is the same dang thing as the last one. It's just talking about something different. Nate. Oh, Nate. Nate shows up in there. I totally understand you're not planning to sell until the middle of next year. And that's exactly the reason why we should go ahead and meet today or this week. And Nate goes, I'm not sure I'm following that, but I'm going to help you. This is the perfect time of year for me to do a curb appeal analysis of your home. They get one chance to make a positive first impression, and this starts at the curb in front of the home. There's no cost or obligation whatsoever. I'll leave you with a list of 3 to 5 things that you can do to make your home pop from the street like no others in your area. It's just an offer. It's stuff that you would do for them anyway if they asked you, but you don't talk about it in a way that makes people understand the benefit of you doing that for them. How many of you in here think you're a good negotiator? How does that affect a home seller if you're an excellent negotiator? Good. You say good? Good. I'm going to need more than that. Nate says good. Oh, I need more than that. What's that? Yeah. Yeah. So can you imagine going to closing and instead of check being $50,000, it's actually $57,500? How would you feel? When you're talking to somebody about the things that you do for them, help them understand what it does for them. They don't give a crap what you do. What they really care about is how what you do makes them feel. So you want to hear an interesting thing about just listed postcards? How many of you mail out just listed postcards? You guys are missing something here. Let me tell you how to talk about just listed postcards on a listing presentation. And it is very simple. I'm gonna mail out 100 just listed postcards to 100 of your closest properties. Now, right now, today, only you and I know this property is being sold. And my job is to get 8 or 10 people of the 100 to also know that your property is being sold and to be on the lookout for somebody who might be the perfect neighbor. That's how you sell a just listed postcard. That's how you sell the value, because the value to him is it's not just me and you, it's me and you and the 8 people that I've attracted. And he's thinking, yes, that's what I want. And you say, well, duh, anybody can do that. Yes, but they don't say it. When I go on a listing appointment, I talk about broker reciprocity. Do you know what broker reciprocity is? Just say yes. Good. So broker reciprocity are the agreements that brokers within an MLS have so that the agents of one broker can use the listings of the other like they're their own. Everybody says, well, everybody does that. I don't have to talk about that. Yes, you should talk about that. And so, hey, Roberta, when we list your home, we have broker reciprocity agreements in place with about 80% of the brokers in Metro Atlanta, which is just about as many as anybody has. Now, what that means is something very simple, is that when I put your listing on the internet as my listing, somewhere between 38 and 40,000 other real estate agents will be able to advertise that listing as if it is their listing on their website. Now, can you imagine going to Google and typing in homes for sale in Sunnyvale and there be 12 different choices and your listing showing up on all 12 of those choices? It's a very simple thing, but we don't use the words to help people understand the impact. And in most cases, I think everybody does it. Everybody does it. What's that? And the longer we've been in the business, the worse it gets, because we think everybody knows. They don't know. I deal with some of the smartest doctors you can possibly imagine, and I think, I'm not even sure how this person finds their way to work when it comes to real estate stuff, because you have expertise in something that they don't have any expertise in. They don't understand it at all. Now, I want to finish up, and I know I've probably gone over time. I've given you a download to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's analysis of mortgage rates and the benefits of shopping around. It's a little bit dated, but the information is still really, really good. If a consumer buys a home, 77% of the time they shop with one mortgage lender. 77% of the time they shop with one mortgage lender. If they shop with 2 or more mortgage lenders, it is the results of this survey that they save $1,500 on average. If they shop with 4 or more in this survey, it says they save $3,000 on average. If you want to use mortgage services to convert more business, then here's what you say. You say, what's your first name, ma'am? Leanne. Leanne, do you already have somebody you're going to use for your mortgage? Awesome. Okay. Let me tell you about a little program I've got, because it is not okay with me for you to pay one more dime than you need to at closing. Is that fair enough? Just understand that's where I'm coming from. Not one dime, not a penny. So here's what I want to do. You get information from your lender, it'll be great. I want you to have a conversation with Tina. Tina, look at her as like a mortgage middleman whose job is to find you the absolute best rate that they can possibly find you, because if we look at 2 options, you could save $1,500. If we look at 4 options, you could possibly save $3,000. And so really all I want to do, what's your current lender's name? American Freedom? Is that it, American Freedom? All I want to do is keep American Freedom honest. Fair enough? It's part of the services we provide included in the fees. You good? You've got to work mortgage that way. So when I refer business to our preferred mortgage partner, and we've had a preferred mortgage partner, the same one for 15 years. We've had the same preferred title partner, which in Georgia we use closing attorneys to close, so they're all closing attorneys. But same partner for 15 years. And I say, hey, here's the deal. You can use whoever you want to use. I want you to have a quick conversation with John Birchfield. John knows. And by the way, I pay very close attention to his details, because he knows I'm going to bust him if he doesn't give you the best rate. And I need him to make sure we're keeping your lender honest. Fair enough? People are not going to go, no, I want to pay more for my mortgage. How dare you assume that I want to pay less for my mortgage? They say thank you very, very much. So you'll have this download that you could actually just take and put it up on the table. It's kind of childish stuff, but it's okay. You put it on the table and show them the benefits of shopping around. And then you've got, and what I'm saying is that I want Tina to serve the function more of a finance manager than a loan originator. I want her to truly buy into, let me just give you the options, you make a decision, and if you want to work with me, great. Because the truth is, it's not your job to get her mortgage business. It's her job to get it. It's your job to help her have people to talk to. And when you talk about this, when you're converting buyer prospects into clients, they look at it as part of the services that you provide. Tina's not doing it. I'm making her do it for you. And I know that sounds weird, but it is so powerful when you learn to use it. These are all the downloads that you can get. So you get the full presentation, everything. All you got to do is scan that QR code, go download it. It's just to me. Your information's not going anywhere else. You might get an email from me sometime in the next 6 months trying to teach you something else, but that would be the worst thing that would happen. And so you get all, including a PDF of every single slide in the presentation. When you click on the QR code, oh, let me go back. Do I need to go back? Steve, sit back down. No, I'm kidding. I mean, that's just rude, right? Right in the middle of it. I'm getting to my great, it's the crescendo, and out the door he goes. It's only because I've taken like 20 minutes longer than I was supposed to. You guys got it? You guys got it? Okay. Now, when you go to the page, all the resources and the free resources. I do a radio show in Metro Atlanta. I've done it for 12 years. If you ever want to hear me talk about the real estate market in ways that would help you make market general calls, just subscribe to the podcast or listen to the radio show. Steal anything you have. And if you, I'll give you my phone number when I'm finished. And if you want me to send you the script of what I was saying, I'll email it to you. You can be friends with me on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram, but somebody's on there all the time for me. It works out really great. That's my brokerage in Metro Atlanta. If you want to send me some referrals, I expect 3 referrals from each of you by the end of the year because I got to pay for my kids' college tuition. Remember how this works? Especially you, Brandy. I need 4 from you because I need to get this. You can connect with me on Facebook, YouTube. You can watch our YouTube shorts. Last month, we had 48,000 views on our YouTube shorts, which are just designed to help get us some marks so you can see, oh, that's kind of cool what he's doing there. And they just take little bitty pieces of the radio show and snip it out and make these little shorts, and it's very powerful. You can also leave me a review. Unless you think my presentation was bad, and don't you dare go there and leave a review. Is that fair enough? Can we agree? All right, and then I want to tell you about one last thing. My girlfriend is a lady named Tammy Slay. Any of you have watched any of the BAM, AMP, SLAM, all that, you see Tammy in RAMP, and you also see her in BAM, the workman training programs. And when she told me about this course about 6 months ago, I thought, that is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. And she said, I'm going to do an online course. It'll last about 4 months. You have meetings every week. And I'm going to teach people how to use Etsy to generate real estate leads. I'm like, what? And so I just eavesdrop on these calls. Sometimes I log on and I listen to what she's saying, and sometimes I'm just in another area of the house and I listen to what she's saying, and it is fascinating. It is fascinating how they use an Etsy shop to generate real estate business. Think about this. Every neighbor can come to an open house and they can get a $5 gift certificate to use toward any item in your Etsy shop. They go spend the $5. You make more than the $5 when they buy the item, and they feel like they've gotten something for free. Because the hardest thing to get people to do with you from a lead flow and conversion standpoint is to get them to interact with you. And it is so powerful. She's starting a new class in January. And any of you who might be interested in it, click on it. And if you want her information or anything like that, I'm totally happy to give it to you. And as I finish, I'm going to give you my phone number. Write this down. This is my personal cell phone. I don't know where it is, but if you called it, well, it wouldn't ring because I don't have the ringer on, but I would see that you called and I would call you back. My number is 404-271-4275. And I promise you that each one of you who calls me with a question, that I will immediately text Nate and say, why are these people calling me with these questions? Why don't you teach your agents better? I'm just kidding, by the way. I will answer your question, and I will send that text to Nate. Thank you very much for having me today. I'm going to stay for the mastermind if that's okay.
Thank you so much for being there.
Oh, this is awesome. Can I just make one little final comment? So I said with Remax, it'd be 25 years. I probably didn't start going to R4s, which weren't even called R4 at the time. They were just conventions. And I remember going into a room where they were talking about postcard mailings. And I walk in there, there's Mr. Martinez. I don't know him from Adam. He probably wouldn't even remember that I was in that room. But when I listened to him talk about how he uses postcards to generate business, I thought to myself, now that is somebody in Remax. That's somebody who knows what's going on. And Nate probably doesn't know this because I never told him. But I didn't think under any circumstances that I would ever be able to coach somebody who knows as much as he knows. And when I was offered to be his coach and he accepted, it made me feel so good about myself. So I have admired this guy for a long, long time, and you guys are very, very lucky to have him. Sorry, I just wanted to add that.